Impeachment case of former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua before the courts with his legal team challenging the process as unconstitutional and seeking compensation. Hearing continues on May the 7th. IEBC rules out any extension of voter registration despite low turnout as the exercise enters its final day today. Youth-led GOtv efforts to mobilize voters remains ongoing. Back to school activity continues to be low, with parents citing financial strain and traders reporting reduced customer turnout. Still on matters education, learning in some schools disrupted by a teacher's go-slow as KUPPET intensifies calls for better terms and urges the government to act urgently. And interviews for Supreme Court judge positions begin today at 9 a.m. as the Judicial Service Commission kicks off the vetting process to fill vacancies in the Apex Court.
All right, welcome to the 28th day of April 2026. Just 3 days to the end of this month. This is TV47 Breakfast. Welcome. My name is Anne Odida.
My name is Fred Indimuli, and the 30-day mass voter registration exercise by the IEBC comes to an end today. GOtv. This is the TV47 Breakfast. Remember, you should tag us throughout the show on our social media pages, TV47 Kenya on Facebook, YouTube, where we're streaming live, and on Instagram. If you're on X, it is TV47 Digital. You can tag us as well. My handle is at Fred Indimuli on X.
At Anne_Odida, use the hashtag TV47 Breakfast. Hashtag story ni yetu. It's World Day for Safety and Health at Work today. It's a day that is marked globally by the United Nations and the International Labour Organizations. Its purpose is to promote safe and healthy working conditions and reduce work-related accidents and diseases. And since its inception, the day has served as a crucial reminder of the importance of occupational safety and health systems worldwide. A lot is happening, and of course we are here to bring you up to speed with everything. Bado tuko streets, tutakuwa tunawaambia story yetu ni gani, so stay tuned. In the course of this broadcast, tutakuwa tunakuambia kila kitu that you need to know with regard to everything taking center stage and shaping your world. Let's take a look at the state of the weather. All right, let's start off in Nyeri. It's a cloudy day today. This morning it's 15 degrees. Highs of 21 degrees expected in Nyeri today. Wajir, it's raining. It's 24 degrees this morning. Highs of 33 degrees expected throughout the day in Wajir. Nandi County, it's a cloudy day. 14 degrees this morning. Highs of 21 degrees throughout the day in Nandi. That's Nyeri, Wajir, and Nandi counties. We take a look at other areas now, and Kilifi, it's a cloudy day as well. This morning is 25 degrees. Highs of 29 degrees expected throughout the day. Kajiado, it's raining this morning and it's 16 degrees. Highs of 21 degrees. Kakamega, it's a cloudy day. This morning is 16 degrees and highs of 23 degrees expected throughout the day. Now, the Kenya Meteorological Department has already released the weather advisory, and rainfall is expected to continue across several parts of the country, particularly over the highlands, east and west of the Rift Valley, Nairobi, the Rift Valley region, the coast and northeastern Kenya. Now, they warn of potential impacts and risks, flooding and flash floods, reduced visibility, rising river levels, including in areas not receiving heavy rainfall, and of course increased risk of landslides in hilly areas such as the Aberdare Range, Mount Kenya and surrounding regions. And that's the state of the weather. Kuna mti nasikia imeanguka.
Yes, along Kiambu Road kuna mti imeanguka, and I think that kind of scenarios portends in very many different places because of the kind of lightning and thunder that we experienced yesterday. Kwenye mulipigwa na radi?
Nilikaona kakiingia kwa dirisha bedroom.
Ililima mimi nikaamka.
All right, that's the state of the weather, and we'll be bringing you up to speed with that. Whatever happened in Kiambu Road. Hizo miti kuanguka sijui zinakaa vipi, umeziona? Nimeona
moja hapo, but at least I think it's been cleared. We'll also be taking a look at the roads because after following the heavy rains, there's been a lot of incidences here and there. Plus, because of the pressure of back to school, a lot of the roads are chock-a-block this morning, especially in the CBD. We'll be taking a look at that later on.
All right.
Let's take a look at the dailies this morning, and it's Gachagua everywhere. We start off with the Daily Nation.
Kenya quote.
Oh, kuna quote?
Yeah, man, let's inspire them. Let's have the quote of the day.
In 3 words, I can sum up everything I've learned about life. It goes on.
Right, one thing about life, it goes on.
It definitely does. Let's go on now.
Yes. Let's come back and take a look at the local dailies now in depth.
All right, that story about the former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua dominates dailies today. We start off with the Daily Nation, Gachagua's U-turn. Wanasema Rigathi Gachagua, who was removed from office as Deputy President in 2024 following impeachment by Parliament, has abandoned his quest to be reinstated should the High Court rule his ouster was unconstitutional. Mimi hata sijui anasema because alikuwa arudi kweli. Sahi, can they even fit anywhere with the president? Walienda ulkalao kidogo hivi moto karibu iwake. Anyway, he has said he doesn't want that job. Yeah. Instead, the DCP leader is pursuing compensation for the salary and allowances he would have pocketed had he served the 5-year term, signaling his intent to rescue his political future as he earns a fat check. So the story is on page 4. I like this angle that they've taken here on the Daily Nation. The former deputy president argues that hurried impeachment proceedings saw a House resolution sent to the Senate at night. That's his case. But anyway, it's before the court. We cannot really talk much about that, but we can report on what really happened.
At a court, so we can all follow the proceedings.
Actually, the problem was that it was to continue today, but now it has been postponed to next month, May the 7th. I think that's some date next week or the other week.
Yeah, because it was to take 3 days. Yesterday, today, and tomorrow.
Yes, I think because of the JSC interviews that are beginning today, a lot will have to wait, especially within the Supreme Court. Pale juu, Sebastian Sawish, Super Shoes and Supersonic Marathon Speed. Huyu jamaa anapata 35 million shillings pap kutoka mbio. Siaka.
Wow.
Wewe amuka mapema uende ufanye kazi. 3 am na 4 am watu wanaenda kulala. Nakimbia kuenda kazi na ukaribio pesa.
Koma wewe.
Jamaa anatoka siaka kidogo. 35 million shillings. Hey, congratulations to Sebastian Sawe. Governor wanted by MPs of a suspect 14 billion shilling payout. Kopale, that's the Kakamega Governor Fernandes Barasa, who's among former executives of the Kenya Electricity Transmission Company, KETRACO. He's now wanted by MPs to answer questions on irregular payments of 14 billion shillings in way leave compensation. So it has nothing to do with his job as governor. It is his previous job as a top official of KETRACO. So that's the front page of the Daily Nation. Chatufungue, because we have a physical paper here. Tuone wanazungumzia nini kule ndani. UK pursues fraudster hiding in Nairobi. Kuna jamaa amekwepa mapolisi, anasemekana huko Nairobi. Alafu Gachagua, pages 4 and 5, that spread ni Gachagua. Kule kwingine YDP focuses on Mount Kenya. A lot of it's a heavy paper today, but most of it is just paying bills. Right. On the back page, now that story about Sebastian Sawe. Ameandika hapo kwa hiyo kiatu. Ameandika 1 hour 59 minutes 30 seconds world record sub 2 hours. Sawe super shoes sub 2 hour marathon feet. Na hizo viatu zimekuwa described hapo in depth. Kumbe kiatu ya marathon inakaanga hivi. They're showing, actually the focus on the back page of the Daily Nation is on the shoes that he wore when he ran.
Lakini tunaona wengine pia na different
hata kama
shoes.
kiatu inakaaje bana ikai.
Wezi tembea naye?
This is among, but I think it's just for running because aesthetically it doesn't look like the kind of shoe, the type of shoe I'd wear. A detail of Kevin Kiptum's shoes after he won the 2023 Chicago Marathon in a world record time of 2 hours 35. Hiyo ni ya Kiptum. Sasa ya Sebastian Sawe pia viatu zake ziko pale. Remember hata kuna ile kiatu nani alikuwa amevaa? Eliud Kipchoge. Ile akikimbia ile sub 2 hours, lakini that was not competitive race. So the shoes, to be honest, I don't think some of the best looking, but I think they do the job. And that's the back page of the Daily Nation today.
All right. Taifa Leo, Rigathi akataa kazi ya Kindiki. Hata hivyo Gachagua ataka alipe marupurupu na fidia kwa kubanduliwa mamlakani kwa hila, akiomba koti tangaze harakati ya kumng'oa kama haramu. Anasema kwamba kinara DCP ambia mahakama kuwa hataki kuwa naibu rais wa Ruto tena. Wadhifa aliyopokonywa mwaka 2024. Hiyo kazi hataki. Anataka tu compensate him.
Munilipe lakini sitaki hiyo kazi.
Hizo siku zote linifire unlawfully.
He served for only about 2 years. So if he was to be paid, compensated for the rest, that means he would earn about salary for 3 years.
Yes.
Well,
that's a lot of money.
Wale watu unajua sio pesa kidogo. Ni karibu shilingi milioni 2. Kila mwezi, kila mwaka 24 million around there. For 3 years, some 72.
Inclusive of benefits.
Inclusive of benefits. Well,
that's the story captured on page 2 of Taifa Leo this morning. The vidokezi zaidi, siasa za mlima Kenya mashariki na magharibi zaibuka tena. Kindiki akita kambi mashariki huku Ruku akikodokeza mpasuko ukanda huo. Trump asema Iran ikimhitaji impigie simu. Hii ni baada ya Tehran kukubali kufungua mkondo wa Hormuz ila ikakataa sharti kuhusu nyuklia. Interesting. Sasa Iran ndio sasa ipigie Trump simu. Ndoto ya Joho mwaka ujao yapigwa jeki. Wanga asema waziri wa madini anatosha kuwa naibu wa Ruto katika uchaguzi wa mwaka 2027. That's a new twist to this. For a very long time tumekuwa tukireport Wanga huenda akawa.
Sasa hata anasema hataki hiyo kazi.
Amesema Joho huenda akawa.
Yeye mwenyewe Wanga ni kama anasema kama Gachagua hiyo kazi sitaki.
Hataki.
Hajasema hivyo lakini we're just trying to analyze her latest statement.
It's on page 5. Yeah. Sakata ya shilingi bilioni 14 ya ganda kwa gavana Barasa, tumezungumzia habari hiyo katika ukurasa wa mbele wa The Daily Nation, na kamati ya bunge yataka wakuu wa KETRACO waelezee fidia ilivyotolewa, na vile vile hiyo kiatu ya Sawe akishinda anga shilingi milioni 35 kwa kuvunja rekodi kule London. Habari kamili katika ukurasa wa 13 hadi ukurasa wa 20 wa gazeti la Taifa Leo.
Na inasemekana kwamba huyo mfalme mpya wa marathon huenda akavuna hadi shilingi 130. Toka tu mbio, alafu unapata pesa kama hizo.
Ni back to school, ambia wanafunzi waingie sports pale.
Wanafunzi wa saa hii.
Jana pia tulikuwa tuna cover Madina wa court. Yeah.
Actually, and you know, sports is actually one of the pathways. There are people who are actually going to grade 10 just to do sports and the arts.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then that focus is actually making more sense. If at all from one race or two races you can make 100 million, why not focus on that?
Yeah.
Some of us may never get to that amount working on a daily basis, but hey.
Ni ukweli,
Never.
huwezi pata hiyo in employment, guys. Research.
Acha HR kusikia.
Hakuna. You can't argue with research.
Let's move on to the Standard. Same story, Rigathi Gachagua, billion-shilling suit. So while the Daily Nation has focused on the bigger idea that the fact that Rigathi Gachagua does not want or is not keen on getting back his job as deputy president, whichever way the case goes, now the Standard focuses on the demand for compensation. Former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, who was impeached in October of 2024, had his day in court yesterday as his lawyers challenged the process, terming it rushed, biased, and politically driven. They argued that he was denied a fair hearing and raised claims of bribery and ignored court orders. If he succeeds, the case could open the door to billions in benefits and compensation claims against the state. So I'm going to break down what happened, which speaker decided what, when the new deputy president was sworn in, all that on the front page of the Standard. So we still do not have the physical copy of the Standard. Nafikiri mvua imenyesha. Alafu inatoka mbali huko Mombasa Road, so haijafika.
Bado.
So we don't know what other story we have, the inside pages, but I promise you I'll be getting that because I'm sure we have it somewhere. Yeah, on the e-copy of the Standard. So let's move on for now to another paper as I look for the full e-paper.
Tuangalie People Daily now. The main story here talks about living on credit, why Kenyans can't save. And we've even had an interview here on set. Wanaita Fuliza Economy, People Daily wanaita hivyo. They have covered figures here. Wanasema rate of savings dropped to 68.1% in 2023. That is from 74%. Lack of savings has led to decline in long-term savings from 39.5% in 2021 to just 17.1%. And only 18.3% of Kenyans are considered financially healthy. Most struggle to consistently meet their financial needs. 18.3%. Uko hapo kweli? Hapo kwa watu 18.3%. Alafu some 39% of Kenyans reported going without food due to lack of money, with 21% experiencing this multiple times in a single month. 39% of Kenyans hawakuli, mnainama tu. Same.
39%, that's 4 out of 10.
Yes.
Where?
Hao ni watu wengi.
Hao ni wengi.
Meanwhile, 57% of men and 63% of women have had to reduce their food expenses just to meet financial obligations. Mnyi mnakula sana. 57%
Sisi na nani?
pekee.
Kuna watu waamka usiku kupika ugali, wanajijua.
Koma. Loan defaults increased from 10.7% in 2021 to 17% in 2024. Sasa pia loan hatulipi. Alafu Kenya's ratio of savings to GDP has stagnated at 12% for the last 11 years and is now showing signs of further decline against a global average of 25%.
Okay.
This story has been captured on page 13. They call it a Fuliza economy. There's another story here. Fuel pricing mess. EPRA questioned over 1.6 billion expenses. It has been captured on page 6. A special audit on importation of petroleum products between March 2023 and June 2024 reveals anomalies and weaknesses in fuel retail price settings. And that's the People Daily.
All right. Allow me to take you back to the Standard because there's a very important story there, and it's about the mass voter registration exercise that ends today officially by the IEBC. IEBC ends registration drive with a strong 1.87 million voter turnout. Not so bad. That's close to 2 million. And the Standard on page 6 has actually broken down where these new voters are. On the map of Kenya, some of those, like Uasin Gishu County has new 43,000 voters, Murang'a 40,000. I'm looking for Nairobi. Nione tuko na wangapi? Over 200,000, 209,000 new voters in Nairobi. Mombasa 41,000. Kitui 50,000 new voters. Twende wapi Kisumu? Kisumu iko pande gani? Nakuru 81,000, Kiambu 97,000 new voters. So Nakuru 81,000, yes. Kisumu kwa wapi? Kisumu mbona ikuji? Yeah, anyway, we'll look for it because Kisumu is also a key vote block. But yes, finally, Kisumu, 37,000 new voters. So if you're looking for those numbers, 1.87 million new voters, they're there on page 6 of the Standard. Alafu, ulikuwa nasema ati the ABC has decided not to extend. Hapa there's a request for extension. Extend registration deadline for nomadic voters. Kachapin, who is a West Pokot governor, amesema they need an extension.
Kwa nini?
See, these are nomadic voters. So unajua, because nomads are not usually found in one place. So anasema because those counties, people are just moving around. So they need extension so that wengine pengine hata wajui kulikuwa na mass voter registration. Sasa ndio wanataka kuambiwa ndio wakuja register.
Mbona hawakuambiwa sasa wanataka kujua sahi?
30 days wanasema ni chache. Unajua nomads and pastoralist communities can go even up to 6 months from where they live. They go looking for pasture for like 6 months. Wakirudi, kama alikuwa ameacha mke akona hajajifungua na kuja anapata mtoto alikuwa tayari anakula chakula. All right. So that's the Standard.
All right, let's cross over first of all to Kiambu County. Nakumbuka tukiambia kuna mti ilianguka pale. Mudhoni Brenda is on standby. Tunataka tuambie how it's looking, what caused it, and everything, all between, everything between, yeah? Mudhoni Brenda, good morning. Brenda.
Thank you so much, Annie Odida and Friend Idumuli. Indeed, I can get you very loud and clear. I don't know if you can get me clearly because we are having a sort of situation here at Kiambu Road. Firefighters are currently reacting to a situation where a tree fell last night due to the heavy rains just next to the Kiambu police station. The firefighters reported here at around 6 a.m. But already traffic is already building up. So if you are getting into town using Kiambu Road, then you might want to consider using other routes ama utoke mapema. Hii mti imejaa kwa barabara Odida. I'm sure my camera person anapan unaweza ona. Meaning even pedestrians wana struggle because inabidi wapandililie huko juu because mti imesimama kabisa. This is as a result of the heavy rains that were witnessed yesterday in Nairobi. It rained most part of the night. In some parts kama mahali mimi nakaa kumenyesha the whole night. And in Nairobi comes the flooding, comes with mambo kama hii ya miti kuanguka. So dress warmly. Hadi mimi nilikuwa nimebakisha kidogo tu hivi nivae trench coat on top of this blazer, kipiki blazers, because baridi shadidi. But if you can look behind me, the cold and the rain has not stopped Kenyans from going into their hustles. Wamesema wanapambana na hii baridi. So that is the current situation of traffic here at Kiambu Road. The firefighters wa Kiambu bado wanajaribu kuremedy the situation. Waone kama watakata miti watu waeze kupita. Sijui kama Kaikae anaweza kupana kuonyeshe gari ya the firefighters imesimama na imeblock barabara literally. So if you are a motorist unatoka town ama unatoka na unaenda Kiambu, hauwezi pita. Na kama unatoka na huku unaingia into town, then it's going to be a crazy fit. Back to you, Annie, in studio.
Thank you so much, Brenda, for that update. Napenda hivyo venye umewaambia ama utoke mapema, manake they'll see bad things if they don't.
Amesema utapandililia hiyo miti itabidi. And I'm looking at that section of road because it's very close to Kiambu town.
Yeah.
And the road is blocked. If you look at the Google Maps, it's blocked on both sides. Those going into Kiambu town, those living Kiambu town, next to the Kiambu golf course. Imeshikana kabisa hapo. So hata pedestrians ndio wanasemekana wanapandililia miti wakipita wakienda town.
Yes, ama utoke mapema manake itawezekana.
Actually, closer to AR hospital on the other side of Karura, I've seen like there's another tree that looks a bit risky.
Ikuangukie gari yako sasa.
Haija block barabara kabisa, but that means kutakuwa na shida. And this will continue as long as it's raining, because the weatherman said it's not just rain, it comes with a lot of wind, strong winds, meaning that trees will definitely be falling off. How is the situation where you are?
Yes.
And we'll be looking at that
Road.
traffic situation on major roads later on. Turejele magazeti, tulikuwa tumefika wapi?
Wacha tuangalie Business Daily and then we come back and take a look at the Star. How non-existent farm is set for 10 billion shillings Kenya pay. That a Supreme Court award of 10 billion shillings for a botched electricity contract is being claimed by 3 Spanish firms, including one that has been declared bankrupt and dissolved, putting Kenya at risk of paying 3 times that amount, or 30 billion shillings. The Apex Court in October 2022 ordered Kenya Electricity Transmission Company, that is KETRACO, to pay Spanish firm Installations in Abenza about $37.6 million for breach of contract after cancelling a deal for building a high-voltage transmission line and substations. However, unknown to the Kenyan lawyers and judges, Inabesa was fighting for its life. This story has been captured on page 2.
So it's the same story we're talking about, I think, involving the current governor of Kakamega County. Fernandez Barasa, Kakamega.
All right. 27 banks snub new central bank loans pricing formula. That's another story here. An analysis of commercial bank lending rates established that 27 out of 37 banks have opted for the CBK as their key reference rate, with only a minority adopting Kesonia as their benchmark. Now, Kesonia is the Kenya shilling overnight interbank average, which is the new base rate for all variable interest loans, designed to increase transparency and lower credit costs. So that's a good thing. Lakini, is it really a good thing? Sababu Business Daily nasema banks snub new central bank loans pricing formula. So they don't want to go the Kesonia way. All right. That's not a good thing, actually, if they want to snub Kesonia. On the ticker, Kenya Mortgage Refinance Company is scheduled to float a sustainability bond today with a target to raise 3 billion shillings. And UK pursues 219 million shillings fraudsters suspected to be in Kenya. We also talked about this story on the Daily Nation, and that's the Business Daily.
All right, the Star goes different. Kama kawaida, fresh, independent, different. They're talking about Kenya's nuclear energy ambition, which has taken off in Siaya. Now, pengine huko unajua, lakini Kenya inakuanga na nuclear ambitions, and the plant is centered in Siaya. So the government intends to increase production to 10,000 megawatts in 7 years. Lakini hii si nuclear ile ya vita, si ile ya Strait of Hormuz huko na Iran wanaleta shida. They're just trying to supplement electricity production or energy production in Kenya so that we move from hydro-generated power to nuclear power. Yes, and if this happens, then probably no more blackouts will be a thing of the past. So this, I think, is the only paper that has covered this story. Kenya's nuclear energy and ambition taking off in Siaya. You can read more on that on pages 4 and 5, the spread in the Star. Political calculations, Gachagua, Kalonzo, Matiang'i team in talks with Sifuna before naming candidate. Wameamua Sifuna, they may talk to him. So that's there on the top page. On the top of the front page. Push to register students for national IDs is another story. It raises legal logistical red flags. Nakumbuka about 500,000 students, 500,000 people are yet to pick up their IDs. Alafu Fire Buddha, follower of Rastafarian with a heart for ghetto youth. That's a special feature on page 11 of the Star. And those are the local dailies. The Star today is not for sale, and it comes with a complimentary MyGov pullout for government tenders and job opportunities. Grab yourself a copy for free. All right, tuvuke boda sasa tuangazie wengine wanasema nini. In Uganda, we start off with the Daily Monitor, and they talk about a sovereign battle. The bill, which seeks to regulate operations of foreigners and limit foreign funding, has further attracted widespread rejection from across society and religious leaders, political parties and civil society organizations, saying the legislation will cost the public an arm and a leg. That's a bill currently drafted, criminalizing activities of agents of a foreigner, where the activity seeks to influence development of the policy of government. All right, wanasema sovereignty should be maintained. That's a Daily Monitor. Same story on the front page of the New Vision. Sovereignty bill rattles opposition and the civil society. But now the New Vision, picha pale chini kawaida, you know, this space that is usually reserved for President Yoweri Museveni. You can see him there, ameketi chini na amekaa next to a young bride. It's not his bride. This is his granddaughter who's just gotten married. Na wala amekaa pale nyuma ni wazazi wa huyo msichana na ule jamaa mwenye amemuoa. So in Uganda kuna harusi tunayo hatuna. Haya, tuvuke boda tuingie Bongo. Gazeti la Mwananchi, Chadema mpya, mwelekeo mpya. Kamati kuu ya kutana baada ya siku 308 za giza nene, wadau wakipa njia za kupenya kubaki kwa wananchi. Kumbuke Tundu Lissu bado yuko korokoroni, kesi yake ikiendelea, na hiyo ndio habari ambayo imepewa kipaumbele kwenye Mwananchi. The Citizen. Government sets aside 20 mining service groups for locals. The government plans to increase local participation in mining by reserving 20 categories of goods and services for farms fully owned by Tanzanians as part of a broader push to expand value addition and ensure more benefits are retained within the domestic economy, which is something very commendable. A lot of guys or companies that conduct mining in Africa are foreigners. So this time in Tanzania wanasema no, they have to retain some of that for locals so that even that mining, remember Tanzania wako na mining mob sana. They have a lot of minerals under the ground, including Tanzanite that is only found there. And those are the dailies. Tuingie haraka kwa karakacha. The one of the people daily, kuna jamaa pale anakaa kama Fred Matiang'i, lakini nafikiria ni yeye sababu ameshika bendera ya Jubilee Party. Lakini anaogelea kwenye maji ambayo yana dhoruba, alafu anajaribu kushikilia zile life floaters. Inaitwa fringe parties. So they're trying to attract fringe parties to Jubilee for their own survival. That's a People Daily Stano's take.
All right, the Standard, kuna punda hapo. Hii ni punda kweli.
Yeah, ni punda.
Ni punda sio. Imebeba mwalimu hapo. Punda ni shaa, imebeba walimu hapo wakienda kule 2027. Kumbuka walimu walitolewa kwa their health scheme, ile insurance scheme, Minet. But that doesn't sit well with them. So they have been petitioning that. Wanasema SHA doesn't cater to their rights vizuri with regard to how, you know, they are covered in that insurance. Sasa imefika mahali, punda imewarusha huko, SHA imewarusha nje, imesema hatuwezi kazi.
Punda amekataa kazi.
2020, wameenda 2027 ama wameenda?
Right.
That's the Standard.
The cartoon on the Star talks about the current scandal involving Football Kenya Federation, and you can see there the FKF president na wengine pale wanaangalia wamechafuka wote na matope. Scandal within football circles.
Finally, the Daily Nation. Hii sasa sijui tuseme ni uchokozi ama nini, lakini kuna peanut butter hapa, lakini wameweka party leader hapo kwa mkate.
Yeye ndio spread.
Yeye ndio spread jamani, anaitwa I'm the party dealer. Yeye ndio spread kwa broad based.
I'm the party dealer.
Utapatana na party leader mwenyewe umwambiane unasema mambo gani mkiwa na ozone hapa, ama huyu si ozone.
Si ozone.
Huyu si ozone.
Kuna ule jamaa mwingine amejideclare party leader pia. Ako pale nyuma. Anasema I declare myself party leader. So who's the party leader of the ODM? Ndio swali.
He's the party leader. These are the caricatures this morning, and of course stories making headlines locally and regionally as well.
We'll be looking at them and more later, but our focus today will be on the state of education as we focus on back to school matters. We had promised earlier that we'd take a look at the traffic situation still linked to back to school and the rains that are being reported across the country. So tuangalie mabarabara. And those are live pictures there at very close to Kiambu town where that tree fell, blocking part of the road. And you can see, yes, hapa kuna bottleneck because firefighters are there on the scene trying to clear the tree from the road. But you can see how people are traveling and the kind of situation. You can imagine the other side, people moving towards Kiambu town cannot, motorists or even pedestrians cannot move. So these are the few lucky ones who are heading towards town. So kama unatoka maeneo ya Kiambu, if at all you can avoid that section, which is very close to the Kiambu Golf Club, please do. It will save you a lot of pain this morning. So that's a traffic update along Kiambu Road where that tree had fell, blocking a section of the road near the Kiambu Golf Club. All right, let's take a look at the major highways courtesy of the Google Maps. And barabara gani hapa sasa naona. Yes, this is Manyanja interchange as you enter Jogoo Road from that section. A lot of traffic there coming from Manyanja Road, Kayole getting into that interchange, also coming from Donholm as you get into Jogoo Road. A long stretch of red after ukifika pale Makadara before the Likoni Road roundabout, but after that it's smooth. But once you get towards town, and this one is the Machakos area, and getting into the CBD, because this is special back-to-school traffic. A lot of learners are trying to get back to school, so they're all converging at the areas where they use PSVs to go back to school. So the CBD is very busy this morning as students trying to get back to their schools across the country. The other major traffic hotspots are along Thika Road. Tuende tuangalie Thika Road, yes. Nakaona Pangani Interchange is building up slowly kama kawaida. That's nothing out of the ordinary. But if you go further up, Garden City Mall, I can see a long stretch there. Further north, Kahawa Ndani, pale opposite KU. Pia kuna traffic pale. So a lot of traffic on Jogoo Road and on Thika Super Highway. The other road that I can see quite busy is the one Eastern Bypass, all the way from Kangundo Road towards the airport, Utawala area. A long stretch of red. Now, ukifika pale karibu KQ headquarters, hey, hapo utakaka. After that, not so bad as you head towards Taj Mall, or what was called Taj Mall Kitambo, and Cabanas. Mombasa Road, getting into the CBD all the way from the airport, it promises to be heavy traffic, Leo. Just before you get to Cabanas, a long stretch of red. But after that, it's smooth all the way into the CBD. Mali utapata traffic ya back to school. The western part of the city, not so bad. Roads like Ngong Road, a bit of traffic at Junction Mall. ABC into town, not so bad. And that's a traffic situation this morning. The only new thing, ni wale wanatumia city center trying to get matatus back to school. All right, so that's the traffic situation. Let's come back and introduce our next discussion this morning. After the break, we'll be taking a look at the state of education with back to school, and we'll be having education experts in studio for that conversation. Mark Wambua, who's a GSS teacher, James Nyaga, who's an education expert, and Isaac Masenge, who's executive secretary of KUPPET, which is a teachers' union. They'll be in studio as we discuss the state of education. Do join us. Once again, our social media pages, TV47 Kenya on Facebook, Instagram, and on YouTube, where we are streaming live. On X, it's at TV47 Digital. You can also watch us on TV47.digital, which is our website. Use the hashtag TV47Breakfast, hashtag Story Yetu. 0793267279. That's our WhatsApp line, which is active 24/7. Send us a voice note or a video of yourself. Tuambie where you're watching us from, what's happening where you are. Later on, being a Tuesday, we'll also be talking matters business. And we're asking you, can youth groups be the new investment hack? Chama, is this the way to go? So keep it right here on our socials. My handle is at @Ann_Dida. Mine is at Fred Ndimuli on X.
See you after the break.
Sundays at 8:30 p.m.
Good morning.
You have my rent?
Leo jioni kama tutakuwa tumelipa rent, nauza hii simu yako.
Hamna pesa. I need 3 G's to make my nails today.
Sasa hivi natuhusu aje?
Can I order now? Do you ship? Can I get blinking ones?
Mimi nilikuwa na trade. Nimeekelea kitele yangu. Kitele yangu na trade. Ikikunyuma.
Oh my God. He left me. Nitumie ni live.
Uko nje kuna wifi.
Why? High five?
Wait, so what do we call this dish again?
I have no idea.
The cucumbers are there specifically for my beauty routine.
Tamulini kiromeka kwa beauty product.
Na ameenda.
Tunafaa tukuwe na logo yetu. Like, si ni brand already.
We won't entertain divas.
No. I'm not dealing with a man child.
Amazing. Nishapenda hii energy.
Sundays at 8:30 p.m. on TV47. Saturday at 8:30 p.m.
My father used to tell me that a hotel is the home for travelers. I guess I forgot that. Recently, it's been more of a mirror of my own ambition. Booyah! We might fail. We will probably fail, but not for a lack of trying. So for the last time, and the first time, welcome to Connect In, the best experience in East and Central Africa and its environs.
Saturday at 8:30 p.m. on TV47. Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m.
This is a very serious place.
I see that. Surely. Hey, Nyumba.
This is the place.
Just for a few days.
Rule number 2.
Kwani Google inajua maisha yangu wewe?
That's my seat.
It's a chair. It was hers.
You're new here?
Yes.
You learned the rhythm.
This place is run by structure. Structure.
It is a system. Ni venye tu ni system haisikizi.
And what happens if something you haven't chosen enters your day?
I remove it.
That's not always going to be possible here.
Then you are going to have a problem.
Noted.
What are you planning? To escape from a resort?
This is not a resort, my friend. This is a storage.
Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m. on TV47.
Nairobi, where the hustle never sleeps and neither do the scammers.
Link Up, we are talking about something that's affecting all of us. We are talking trust.
We're diving into the campus life.
Stay fresh, stay safe.
Stay linked up.
My father used to tell me that a hotel is the home for travelers. I guess I forgot that. Recently, it's been more of a mirror of my own ambition. Ooh, yeah. We might fail. We will probably fail, but not for a lack of trying. So for the last time, and the first time, welcome to Connect In, the best experience in East and Central Africa and its environs.
This is a very serious place.
I see that. Surely. Hey, Nyumba.
This is the place.
Just for a few days.
Rule number 2.
Kwani Google inajua maisha yangu wewe?
That's my seat.
It's a chair. It was hers.
You're new here?
Yes.
You learned the rhythm.
This place is run by structure. Structure.
It is a system. Ni venye tu ni system haisikizi.
And what happens if something you haven't chosen enters your day?
I remove it.
That's not always going to be possible here.
Then you are going to have a problem.
Noted.
What are you planning? To escape from a resort?
This is not a resort, my friend. This is a storage.
You have to be very careful. Fake money can kill business. Na leo mko rada yangu.
Small money, kapesa kadogo, big behavior.
I only have big notes.
Alikuwa anatafuta courage.
Yaani nafaje kutengeneza kachumbari na manyanya zinakaa hivi? Ona kiki ni kama kiwaru.
Hiyo inaitwa commitment to the lie. Amejicommit.
Ndio hiyo. Mpatie.
Unajua kama una mtu kitu, hata tu salamu ya kawaida inakaa kama reminder.
Habari yako?
Sintalipa kesho.
Kesho gani when?
Si kesho ya kesho ya tomorrow.
Hiyo time. Mzee ni budi nikamchoka.
Ni budi ni madeni.
Tuesdays at 8:30 p.m.
You have to be very careful. Fake money can kill business. Na leo mko rada yangu.
Small money, kapesa kadogo, big behavior.
I only have big notes.
Alikuwa anatafuta courage.
Yaani nafaje kutengeneza kachumbari na manyanya zinakaa hivi? Ona kiki ni kama kiwaru.
Hiyo inaitwa commitment to the lie. Amejicommit.
Ndio hiyo. Mpatie.
Unajua kama una mtu kitu, hata tu salamu ya kawaida inakaa kama reminder.
Habari yako?
Sintalipa kesho.
Kesho gani when?
Si kesho ya kesho ya tomorrow.
Hiyo time mzee inabidi nikae nichoka.
Inabidi ni madeni.
Tuesdays at 8:30 p.m. on TV47. Sundays at 8:30 p.m.
Good morning.
You have my rent?
Leo jioni kama tutakuwa tumelipa rent, tunauza msimu.
As learners returned for the second term, uncertainty marked reopening in some public schools after junior secondary school teachers and members of GOtv staged a go-slow over unresolved labor disputes. In several parts of the country, learning was slowed as teachers reported, but withheld full classroom engagement, accusing the government of failing to address long-standing concerns. JSS teachers in the Rakanithi took to the streets holding demonstrations in Chuka town. During the protest, they criticized the Social Health Authority's SHA health insurance scheme and the government's failure to employ them on permanent and pensionable terms.
I'm the Youth Secretary, GOtv Rakanithi branch. Today we have commenced here to ensure that we have total shutdown in our schools because the government that is serving today have refused to employ our teachers on permanent and pensionable terms. We have 44,000 teachers who have been discriminated.
Kuna wale examiners hawajalipwa. Mimi kile ningetaka kusema ni kwamba for the sake of our children and for the sake of the future of this country, let the government be a little bit serious.
In Meru, Kakamega and Kitui counties, junior secondary school teachers backed by GOtv are demanding confirmation to permanent and pensionable terms, improved remuneration and clarity on career progression. GOtv equally criticized the Mwalimu cover under the Social Health Authority SHA health insurance scheme on its capability to address the teachers' medical challenges.
We want to urge the parents to join us, because even those kids, we are teaching them to become teachers of tomorrow.
We have reproductive teachers. So the money should be given to the reproductive age group. Teachers power! Teachers power!
When it comes to curriculum and co-curriculum activities, yes, we want ourselves to manage ourselves. Yes, we know what is good for us. Yes, and if Mr. President, we want to tell you this categorically.
Earlier this month, the government moved to review the progress of the teachers' medical insurance program after concerns emerged around operational and data management challenges affecting the scheme. The meeting brought together officials from the Ministry of Health and the Teachers Service Commission to assess how the program is serving teachers and their families across the country. Union officials say the go-slow is meant to push the government back to the negotiating table, warning that failure to resolve the issues could escalate disruptions in schools.
Our courts are anchored in that constitution that he is going to protect. So we are demanding that he respects the ruling that internship is illegal.
The standoff now leaves thousands of learners and parents anxious over possible interruptions to the academic calendar. For TV47, I'm Linda Alela.
Yes, obvious challenges facing the education sector. Back to school this week, thousands, if not millions of schools and learners are reopening for the second term, which is the longest term, 14 weeks long. So it is a very demanding period for schools and learners as well as teachers. And this is where we want to begin the discussion this morning on state of education. With me in studio, I'm privileged to have some experts on education matters, beginning on my immediate left. Isaac Masenge, who's the Executive Secretary, GOtv Teachers Union. Next to him, we have Mark Wambua, who's a JSS teacher. Karibu sana. And James Nyaga, an education expert, also joins us this morning. Gentlemen, let's start from there. And beginning the second term, which is the most demanding, with the kind of scenes we are seeing, let's start from there. That is a human resource that drives matters education here. What does this mean for education going forward, at least for the second term?
Thank you for hosting us and giving us an opportunity to share on issues of education and issues affecting the education sector at large. We have started the second term of 2026 with a lot of chaos that stakeholders need to sit down and look at before we said normal learning resumes in schools. And the chaos are associated with issues that have not been met by the ministry and by large the government. We have pending issues with junior school teachers, especially the interns, the 44,000 who have not been confirmed. We have issues with unpaid monies to the teachers after marking their exams. We have issues to do with the examination money that I've already talked about. So other issues include the issue of medical cover that we have been talking about. We have been having a lot of fluctuations in terms of benefits of this cover. So we have a myriad of challenges. We have a CBA that is pending and yet to be implemented, and several other issues. So these are the issues that the teachers are raising and saying, how do we open schools when we have a lot of unsolved issues that have to be met?
And previously we've had this kind of industrial action by teachers, but usually it's very specific, that probably it's up to, it's about a CBA that is yet to be fully met or something like that. But even watching the story, it would appear the teachers are overwhelmed with a myriad of challenges they face. They're not coming out and saying it's one thing. The ones in Tharaka Nithi were talking about something different, and the others are talking about something different. Have you ever been in this position as a union representative where there's so much that's just pending for teachers?
Much of the issues that are coming out are issues that have been are emerging issues. For example, we are talking about the issue of medical cover. That's a basic human right. So when a teacher pays a visit to a hospital and then they are told that they can only be able to use 2,500 per day, really it becomes a serious issue, because we can joke with all the other things, but we cannot joke around with the medical issues of this workforce, that is the teachers. Another emerging issue is that, we are transiting from an old education system to a new one. Some of the issues that are coming out clearly are issues, most of them related to the junior school sector, whose implementation process is ongoing. So much of these issues in junior school sector include how to manage the activities, co-curricular activities. We have issues with the junior school teachers complaining that they need autonomy, they need to be independent, because they cannot work in a very toxic environment. That's an issue still with the junior school teachers. We have issues with the government giving the junior school teachers contract jobs. So that's why they're becoming more issues. And we are saying these are issues that are emerging because of the transition that we are experiencing from 844 to the CB.
Okay.
Yeah.
And definitely it would appear the education sector is at a crossroads, how to handle all these issues at one go. We have a junior secondary school teacher with us, Mark Wambua. Mark, it would appear that particular transition between junior school to senior school is the biggest problem. There's a teacher shortage. There's a burden of work burden that you have to face. Can you paint for us a picture of your experience as a GSS teacher?
Thank you. The experience is not a good one in terms of work environment, in terms of the contract, the contract we are serving, and whatever now we are talking about, the problem whereby you find there is a conflict of interest between the management. But most importantly, before we go to the other problems, the biggest problem we have is the problem of serving as intern in an environment which is also toxic, in an environment whereby there are a lot of other very many challenges. So whereby an intern is what is, in other words, having been contracted in internship program is our main challenge.
What is your current contract? Are you an intern or have you been confirmed as a GSS teacher?
I'm an intern, and they say up to December.
Wow.
We began in 2025. It ended in 31st December last year. We were to get confirmed, but we were again we renewed again.
So your contract as an intern teacher was again extended
for another year. Then they hired others in January. So we were 20,000, they added 24, we are now 44.
More
interns without confirming anybody. So the biggest problem is that you are serving as an intern, the pay is too little, the workload is very extremely high, because in junior school there are not enough teachers. We teach from science, you also teach other subjects. We were only trained for 2, but we teach even more. So that there are not enough teachers, but again, before we go to the teachers now, whoever they are not satisfied, they are not confirmed. They do not have, an intern doesn't have a medical cover.
Yes.
We get 17,000 without medical cover, it's a stipend. It is not even a remuneration or a salary.
With this challenge, Mark, do you feel you've done justice to the very first cohort of CBE learners who transitioned to grade 10? If at all you've been working as an intern for 2 years straight, and you are the ones who are supposed to direct these learners to understand the pathways, which is it's a new experience for everyone. Do you feel that probably that first cohort were in grade 10 perhaps got a raw deal because of the challenges that JSS intern teachers go through, what you just told us?
Yeah, being a pioneer class, that is a problem, because it is an implementation of a new curriculum. And you find that even when the CBC started in junior school, you find that even now the curriculum, that is the syllabus, is changing. It is reducing. There are a lot of content has been removed from the original. So you find as a pioneer class, that has been a challenge. Even the pathway they are undertaking, it is a challenge because it's a pioneer class. Most of the things are still raw. For example, you find that, and whatever I'm saying, you find that because of the scarcity of the teachers in school, you find that someone will teach even subjects they are not trained for. So you find that the students won't get the very, very standard content they should get. And again, and I normally repeat it, when you expose teachers into this internship program, for example, which is very hard, is a hardship thing, their mental status is not good. Again, whatever they deliver to the students, we can say it is substandard. Because someone who is stressed, someone who is fixed into a position whereby whatever they are doing is just, well, I can say whatever the interns are doing, even those who are going to school, because we are saying we are not going to school until the government listens to us, even those who are going to school are just doing it because of the fear, what will happen to us. But someone under fear and is in school, do you expect to deliver anything meaningful?
All right. James, as an expert in this sector of education, do you feel that the government of the day is paying enough attention to this? Of course, they'll tell you that education remains the biggest spend in the budget at over 700 billion shillings annually. And even the promises of employment of over 100,000 teachers is there and bandied around. Yet we see these challenges. This is a HR, this is a human resource that drives education. The kind of problems we've just had, do you feel the government is paying enough attention to this sector as opposed to others?
So thank you, Ndimuli, for having us. I got to start by saying, in a working economy, education remains to be the last line of defense. So that in an event whereby we have a term, for example, starting in a chaotic manner like this one is starting, it got to worry every one of us. As to whether the government is giving enough attention, my answer is in negative. It's not, for sure. We're in a state whereby our education, just like any other sector and space, has been over-politicized, I would say. This is to say, serious matters that should be conversed in boardrooms are not being conversed either over the cars, on sunroofs and those kind of things. And it makes everyone who cares, like you and I and others, to worry about the future. Because remember, education is where we have everything developed for the future. This is where we have our human capital being developed. Now, when teachers who are main, I would call them part of the main stakeholders, make such concerns and they don't look like they're being given enough attention, it got to worry us as a country. I mean, we had a whole holiday where these things should have been talked about and probably exhausted. And as Mwalim says, they should have been, the stakeholders should have been brought together, have a sitting in a boardroom and do all these things. But that has not been the case. So it's a worrying trend, I would say. A really worrying trend.
Okay.
Yeah.
But Isaac, it calls to question the role that the unions play, KNUT and KUPPET, because historically we've seen the kind of impact that they've had. They could simply shut down the entire nation. Back in the 90s, we remember the SG of KUPPET, even early 2000, where if they called for a strike, everything came to a standstill and the government had to listen. Are we saying that there's a challenge in that right now, that KUPPET and KNUT, for example, you can speak for KUPPET, are not as effective as they were a few years back?
Thank you for that question. I want to answer that question this way, that currently unions operate under collective bargaining agreements. These agreements run within a given period of time. In our case, it's around 4 years. And during this time, unions agree to commit with some agreements with an employer for a period. For example, we signed a CBA between 2025-2029. And in that document, we have agreed, we have some basic agreements with the employer that we shall do A, B, C, D to be able to have harmony in the education sector. And any party that goes against this agreement, because this agreement is usually registered in court, and it becomes a court order. And therefore, unions now must tread carefully when they are calling for agitation or a policy change. So it's a thin balance that
your hands are tied.
Yes,
simply you're saying that.
That's what happens. You compare the unions of 1990s, issues to do with CBS were not there. But you see, we are now having a legal document that was brought on board to be able to manage or bring peaceful coexistence between the unions and the government. And therefore, when we are coming out to agitate on these issues, therefore we must look at, we are already in a CBA, and we also want some other issues to be done. And this is why we cannot amorphously come out very strongly, because we must look at legally what is binding us and what can we be able to do. And that's why when we want to come out, we must be very clear on what we want to achieve, maybe by looking at our binding agreement that we already have with the employer. So that's where the gap comes in.
Yes, yet it's obvious that teachers are not happy, and they feel that their union should do something. They talk about issues like the medical SHA, and they have their own complaints. Yesterday, the headline screamed, "Teachers reject SHA." Now there are issues with the contracts for the intern teachers. Are we saying that unions, especially the ones in the education sector, have been effectively boxed into failure to manage the issues that their members are raising?
Unions have not failed. And that is why you are seeing agitation across Kenya. That is the work of the unions, that we must have continuous agitation on issues that are affecting our members. Like now we have been having a serious agitation on issues of SHA. Around 2 weeks ago, SHA has been running a bit well until around 2 or 3 weeks ago that they brought in limits, cappings, that, especially on outpatient services. And therefore we came out strongly and demanded for an explanation from the CS and the CEO of SHA. And through that agitation, we were able to have a meeting. And as I even speak today, we have a meeting that we are going to discuss on these issues in Naivasha from tomorrow and starting tomorrow and again on Thursday. So if it were not for our agitation and asking questions, coming out strongly and saying that healthcare is not something that we can joke around with. That's why we have been given this audience to streamline the issues that are affecting SHA. On the issues of interns, I am a beneficiary of union agitation. I was recruited in 2010 during an internship program like this one. By that time, we were being called contract teachers. When I remember the former President Uhuru Kenyatta was the CS of Treasury. But unions came out strongly when they wanted to extend these contract issues with teachers. They came out strongly, Nat Kuppet came out strongly in 2011. And they staged a serious strike that made us get confirmed, around 18,000 of us. And that's why we are saying, if we benefited from that, we can also know, court has already declared this thing. Actually, court used 3 strong words. It's illegal, that's one, unconstitutional, and discriminatory.
Yet it continues happening.
Yes.
You said how effective it was in 2011. What has changed this 15, 16 years later?
I've already explained why.
So your hands are now tied?
A bit because of the new constitution and all that.
Okay.
But you see, court has declared this thing illegal on 27th of February. There was a supplementary budget that was done at the end of March. If the government was responsible enough, a government that loves education, what the government could have done is to feature this amount in the supplementary budget of the 44,000 interns. But you see, court has declared, under a court of appeal, the second highest court in Kenya, has ruled on 27th of February. You are preparing a supplementary budget at the end of March, and then you are doing nothing. But we are seeing you all over spending money, campaigns have started, and we are becoming an irresponsible government on issues that are so critical to this nation.
Hold that thought, Isaac, because we need to, James, because we need to take a break. When we come back, we'll finish up on this before we focus on the curriculum. Yes, you're watching TV47 Breakfast. This morning we're focusing on matters education, state of education we call it. We'll continue this discussion after the break.
Sundays at 8:30 p.m.
Good morning.
You have my rent?
Leo jioni kama tutakuwa tumelipa rent, nauza hii simu yako. Hamna pesa.
I need 3 G's to make my nails today.
Sasa hivi natuhusu aje?
Can I order now? Do you ship? Can I get blinking ones?
Mimi nilikuwa na trade. Nimewekelea kitele yangu. Kitele yangu na trade. Nikikunyuma.
Oh my God. He left me.
Nitumie ni live. Uko nje kuna wifi.
Why? Hi-Fi?
Wait, so what do we call this dish again?
I have no idea.
The
cucumbers are there specifically for my beauty routine.
Tamulini kero umeka kwa beauty product.
Na ameenda.
Tunafaa tukuwe na logo yetu. Like, si ni brand already.
We won't entertain divas.
No. I'm not dealing with a man child.
Amazing. Nishapenda hii energy.
Sundays at 8:30 p.m. on TV47. Saturday at 8:30 p.m.
My father used to tell me that a hotel is the home for travelers. I guess I forgot that. Recently, it's been more of a mirror of my own ambition.
Yes, State of the Nation is the discussion we're having this morning on TV47 Breakfast. With me, Fred Indemuli, and I'm still in studio with Isaac Masenge, who's Executive Secretary Kuppet, Mark Wambua, who's a JSS teacher, and education expert James Nyaga. James, you wanted to raise an issue about what Isaac had just said about the effectiveness of the union in defending the rights of its members.
Yeah, I was going to say that I don't think the union has been really capped, or rather their hands have been tied at the CBA. I think that as I said in the beginning, that we have a situation whereby our education system has been over-politicized. For instance, I do not expect union officials, for example, to be dining with the executive every day, and then you expect something substantive to come out of the union, about how the teacher should be handled. They say, who pays the piper calls the tune. So when you find a union, union and teachers dining with the executive in State House, I expect in this, by the way, though I'm sorry for our good teachers in this country, I expect that when the president sits down with hundreds of teachers and gives them handouts, you don't expect them after 2 months or one to now start asking for pay. In any case, they got compromised. It has nothing to do with the CBA, because even when CBA was done, I doubt it featured things to do with the internship and that kind of thing. I doubt it featured something to do with the SHA, for example. It wasn't there then. So the biggest issue has been over-politicization of our education system. We have taken politics way too far. That is why you see, instead of serious policies being canvassed by policy makers, being canvassed by permanent secretaries, directors, you find policies now that are not supported by science and data.
Okay.
That is not healthy at all. So I think I would call the nut and cupid officials to order.
Okay.
They need to have a sitting themselves and ask themselves, where did the rain start beating them?
Yes.
And part of where is the status.
Yes, and before I give you, Isaac, an opportunity to respond to that, Mark, I'm not sure, as an intern, if at all you fall under the umbrella of being represented by the union directly, but I'm sure your rights, ideally, as any other teacher, should fall under one union or the other. Do you feel that these unions are serving your purpose? Do you feel protected by these unions?
Sincerely speaking, it is partial. For example, we have, the union is divided into two major divisions. We have the national and we have the account, and especially for ourselves, we are so much in connection with the account. For the national, I can't talk about it. We saw whatever they did. For us, I know once we will be confirmed, we will get into SHA. But for now, even for us, that medical cover we do not have. But now, when it comes to the union, for the national, they don't come out clear to support us. This thing is, although we do not have a...
By the way, where do you fall? Because you're not in junior school and you're not even in senior school. You're JSS.
We are JSS.
Is it KNUT?
Yeah, in junior school, for the PNPs are under KUPPET.
Okay.
Yeah, but for intern, we do not have any union for now. We are just civilians or foreigners in school who doesn't have any union to raise their grievances. But at least we can say for the KUPPET, that is a county branch, they are trying. We have been with them in the streets. They have been agitated for our confirmation. But for the national, we can say that they are doing business which is not involving our worries.
Okay.
Yes, we don't.
And we by no means are trying to put you on the spot in this one, but at least you're here to explain yourself. The two gentlemen, they have serious concerns about the operations of the union.
I want to make something very clear here. When I brought out the issue about CBA, much of the component that the CBA talks about is salaries.
Sure.
Okay? Not issues with interns who are not our members. Remember, these ones are not our members yet. But you see, they'll be our members one day. And that's why we are out to support them. And I've given a history about myself and what happened when unions came out and I got a job then. Before now, got elected to serve teachers as an executive secretary of this city, Nairobi County. One thing I want also to make clear is that when unions are called to sit, or when teachers are called to sit with the president, how do you want people to do a stakeholder engagement if you cannot call them on table and discuss? If you see me sitting with the TAC, if you see me sitting with Duale, there's a reason why I'm sitting with Duale. There's something that is not doing right that we want to agree on, or now we are going to do it right. So when we are called by the president has said, come and we discuss on, for example, we have issues right now. So if the president calls us today, like some of us have been already called to go to Naivasha to have a stakeholder engagement on the SHA issues. The structure of the SHA itself, teachers have no information about the structure. We, our leaders, don't know much about this structure. So we want to understand and bring on board some of these issues. But sometimes, you see, politics can never miss, the way Nyaga has said, that people will always come and say unions have been compromised. Yet, they forget to look at the other aspect that we have want to discuss on the CBA. Like now when we went to State House, a CBA that was running for 4 years, the president said, we are going to give you in 2 phases. We are waiting to see whether the two phases are coming out in this July. And that's a benefit to the teachers.
It is yet to happen.
Yes, yes. I think in the budgetary allocation, TSC has requested for money to implement that CBA into two phases.
Okay.
So there are things that we go and discuss and bring as goodies to the teachers. So not necessarily that all of the time we can just look at from the political angle.
Yes, James.
Yeah, my brother is putting it well. What I'm saying is, on matters education and policy, I expect engagements.
Structured engagement.
Structured engagements. Not a whole rally of 10, 20,000 teachers in a hall. I'm saying, if the ministry, for example, wants to engage teachers, because it's a ministry that should do. If the TSC wants to engage teachers, they are welcome to do that. If the ministry wishes to engage teachers, they are welcome to do that. The president should be the last person actually to be seen on serious engagement, because president is a politician, and he's not. He doesn't have a strong background in education. He may not be a daily consumer of data-related education. And the way it comes out, by the way, is not like now you're talking about going to Naivasha. That's a good one, because it's an engagement of stakeholders. It's not an over-politicized kind of rally or something to do with that. So, I mean, what I'm saying is, let there be structured discussions, and those discussions should have happened way earlier than now.
Okay.
They shouldn't, we look like we're a country that is so keen on knee-jerk solutions. That a house has caught fire, so we need to ask where are the firefighters. When we should have planned early, way enough to know there are instances that this one might catch some fire. So I think going forward, and this appeal we are making to stakeholders, it is possible to run this country through policy, through data, through science, and structured engagements. When you put 30,000, 50,000 teachers, or even doctors, in a hall like this one, and you give them 10,000, and you praise them, I don't think that is the way to go. That's why.
Okay, Mark, I know you're itching to contribute to this, but let's hear what a parent has to say about what's happening to teachers. My colleague Muthoni Brenda is somewhere in Muthaiga and is ready to talk to one of the parents. Good morning once again, Brenda. Please let us know what this parent has to say about the state of education.
A very good morning again to you, mtazamaji, Annie and Indimuli. We are coming to you live from the Muthaiga Square, where motorists tell me that this heavy traffic is an indication that the back-to-school rush is already in full swing. It is a mixture of excitement for students and for parents. It is a rush against time and money. With me here, nimepatana na mzee ambaye alikuwa anapeleka watoto wake wawili shuleni, na ningependa atujoin ndio tuelewe kama ameshaingia into the back to school mode, kama amelipa school fees, kama amenunua vitabu, and just to get to see how parents are prepared for the back to school season. Habari yako mzee? You are live on TV47. Unaweza tuambia jina yako na utuambie ulikuwa unaenda wapi mapema ya asubuhi ya leo?
Mimi nafanya kazi barabara ya Thika Road na watoto wangu. Natoka nao kwa nyumba, watoto wawili, nachukua mtoto mmoja rafiki yangu, nakuja nao nafukiza na waacha Muthaiga Primary School. Wakiingia shule mimi narudi kwa barabara, naingia gari naenda kazi.
Alright, na niulize watoto wako wako grade gani na gani? Ushalipa school fees ya this term? Umeanza? Hujafikiria kulipa? Kwa nini? Shida ni gani?
All right, we do apologize for that technical hitch. We'll be getting back to Brenda for that update from the parents, because we have to listen to them. It is back to school week. Here in studio, yes, we've begun addressing the HR issue, the complaints by teachers. I want us to finish that because I want us to talk about the implementation of the curriculum-based education.
I only wanted to second what my friend is saying about too much politics which interfere with the normal running of the system. And now what is making intern teachers, I'm very specific because we can't solve 20 problems with one huge problem unsolved. We better solve this huge one, then we go to the 19.
Is that what you're feeling, that there's too much?
There is too much political
with
interference.
no focus on any particular problem?
No. We are very much specific, and we are talking about confirmation for us. The other problems about autonomy, the other problems about school feeding, unajua tunachanga chakula, will come later. Yeah, hizo zitakuja baadaye. But our main problem is confirmation. And now when I'm talking about politicizing this thing, you find that an MP goes to an area or to a political forum, they issue out letters for PNPs. Yes, the president himself does the same for political mileage. Then you ask yourself now, is it a recruitment process? You know, recruitment is should be carried out by TSC. It is the one which recruits us as teachers. But now when you see an MP issuing letters for PNP and not for internship, you are in the second year, you are serving your 50-month internship. You see an MP giving out letters for PNP jobs. Then you ask yourself, where are we heading to?
All right.
You are in a staff room. People come from the back door in TSA, I don't know what they do. They sit there, they are permanently employed. We raise questions. Why is it happening like this? Why should we be now in those classes? And remember, we are doing whatever the PNPs are doing. Teachers teaching 35 lessons, that is average of 30 to 40 per week.
35 lessons?
Yes, per week.
Yes.
And in Nairobi, you handle a class of above 60. Others in Dandora, Kibra, 90. When you go to the hardship areas, you have to hire a boda of 100, 200 to school and back. So you find that once you see this now politics get into a system which is as delicate as education, then you know we are missing the point.
All right.
Yes.
And yes, I think you've made it very clear, the politicization of the entire education sector. I want us now to move more towards implementation of the CBE, competency-based education. And you raise the issue about how heavy a burden is. The burden is not just to teachers, but even to the learners, with understanding new ways of doing things and shifting to competency-based, new pathways and all this. Do you feel that the way it's been done so far is the right way? We have a new cohort, the very first cohort, the pioneers of CBE in grade 10. Yet there are so many questions even about the texts they use in class. Do you feel that probably we have totally failed in implementing CBE?
Okay, implementing CBE has not been perfect. You know, changing the curriculum will come now. In the future, it will also be there. It is something which happens because we also have changing economy, and we also have now, the world is also changing. We are facing new problems which were not earlier before. When you look at 844, it was more about feeding people with knowledge for white-collar jobs. But now when you come to CBE, they designed it for more about to do with skills. But now the implementation is where we draw the line. It is not perfect. We have very many hiccups. Whereby, and I said again, you find that we have subjects like pre-technical studies, music, which are new to very many of us.
Including the teachers? Including
us. We are learning as the student also, learning. Because now you are taken to school, you only did, in campus, that is university, we only do, we specify under 2 subjects. So in these schools now, because of the huge number of lessons and very few teachers, you have to do now more lessons, which now again you can't be competent in them because you never did them in the campus. So you find that is one of the challenge which is coming in. Number 2, we have a challenge of lack of resources. Unapata lab ni chini ya mti. Ama you just pick up a class, you just label that is a lab with 2 test tubes, one working Bunsen burner, and the others and a cupboard there. That's a lab. most of the schools, even in Nairobi, lack a well-equipped lab for the science. And
even in the city here?
Even in the city here.
So you can imagine the situation in the rural areas.
In the rural, we can't even talk about the rural areas where we do not have even classes.
Wow.
So now I want to, can you look at the connection now between the working environment and an intern now? You are pressed to handle 60, 90 learners without a lab, and you know, we have for most of the interns are science teachers. You must expose those learners to practicals, and now that is where now the problem comes in. Those learners are going to senior school without proper exposure to practicals.
Wow. Now because the senior school teachers fall directly under COPET, is this an issue you're handling, where the teachers who have been teaching 844 towards KCSE now have the very first cohort of CBE learners who've just transitioned from a system which has been described as not 100%. Now that burden is simply moved to your members in senior school. Is this an issue you're currently handling, the implementation of the CBE?
I want to start by saying that even junior school teachers are our members of the union.
Okay.
You know, when we do policy borrowing, I want to say that I'm an expert in policy, and this is one of the areas that I'm doing a research in Nairobi. Actually almost done on implementation versus resources. Where we got it wrong is we never involved the street level bureaucrats. You know, a policy sometimes is supposed to be implemented down up. Listen to the people first, they give ideas at the bottom, and then develop ideas that can match this. You see, government wanted either their citizens to compete effectively across the world, and then went and borrowed this issue, this thing called CBE. It's good. Wherever it is being implemented, you look at Japan and other countries, wherever, it is doing good. But was it tailored to fit the situation in our country? That is where the street level bureaucrats were to be involved. These are the teachers. But what we actually came up was about political expedience. That we want to change the system, and we look like we politicized the whole issue about CBE. The way we carried it, we needed to have, again, sober up and say, we are changing this thing. But can we tailor this thing to fit our local situation? How are we going to handle this? That's where we messed the whole thing. Now we are here. The government is trying to handle the human resource issue. If you look at Kinley, government has done around 100,000 teachers. And that's why government came up with this internship policy to be able to roll out. You serve 2 years, then you are confirmed, until the court have said otherwise. So on the human resource aspect, this one has been, the government is trying to handle this when we want to be now true with what we are saying. But there are other aspects. We have institutional resources, yeah, that are supposed to actually support the implementation process. So there's a serious gap in terms of institutional resources. We are ill-equipped in terms of institutional resources, which we are talking about, laboratories, IT equipment, and all this. These ones are actually lacking completely in these institutions. And that gap is now where we can talk about a disconnect in terms of implementation. So you have handled the human resource aspect, and you are still handling it, but you are forgetting the institutional resource aspect. And this is the most important aspect in terms of implementing CBE. And what we are seeing, if you are not very keen, as we go ahead, your kids and mine go to these private schools. Private schools have conformed completely. They are equipping their schools with the necessary materials. We are paying a lot of money to take our kids out for exposure in centers with CBE equipment. But what about our public primary schools? Or what about our public institutions? The situation is in dire need.
And that's where the problem lies, that education has always been seen as an equalizer. But implementation of the CBE, a comparison between public schools and private schools now appears to be widening the gap between those who have and those who do not have. What do we say about such an education system?
Yeah, so I mean, it's all back to where we started, bad politics. Remember, in the first place, we had asked about whether the junior secondary should be domiciled in high school or in primary. And there was a pull and push. What was it about? it was about capitation. Because ordinarily, Mwalimu here is complaining that they were trained to teach 2 learning areas. But do you know, in the Muli, people that did PTE, primary teachers education, all those teachers, they studied 13 subjects. 13.
Which they're supposed to teach the 13.
Correct.
Yes. 13.
Which means the music, which is giving him a problem, the PTE teachers or the P1 teachers have studied it well in college. Which means the music the teachers are complaining about, the home science, the art and craft, all that knowledge is with the P1 teachers, the PTE teachers. Ideally, if policy was to be given a space, those are the teachers who should be handling the junior secondary school kids.
Within primary school
yes.
setup.
Correct. But unfortunately now, because Kupet wants to, the president wants to listen to who has the bigger say and who got the numbers, they look at NAT and say, I think NAT got a lot of teachers, so let's listen to NAT and maybe not listen so much to Kupet. That is why you see the confusion. There should be no confusion. But also, look at capitation. A lot of hype about capitation, when ordinarily there is no capitation. So the government delays capitation, brings capitation in a day, and hype about it throughout the...
They released 23 billion shillings last week. That is something.
Correct. You know, and now it's a hype because there was a deficit. Previously, they had not released what they should have released in the right ratios. You get what I mean? So there is a lot of politics in our education sector, which I don't think is taking us anywhere. We should be hearing the principal secretaries more, the cabinet secretaries maybe, and the president as a last person to talk about policies, to talk about education. Now, when we have, remember now, like we are talking about high schools, there is a lot of dilution in our education system when it comes to high school, because they used to handle 4 classes. They are now having 3 classes. That's accurate. They are now having 3 classes, which means even running their programs will be a whole hectic thing, because they don't have enough resources. So the capitation will come again according to the numbers. So there is a lot of things that will happen. Remember, we are talking about a high school that got some buses to maintain, a high school that got some utilities to pay. Not forgetting that even the cost of energy in this country is too high. The cost of a unit of energy, the cost of energy unit today, 1 unit is around 26 shillings. That is too huge. Now we expect them to run the programs in school. We expect them to have laboratories and all that. And the cost of power is that high. So there is a lot of chaos and confusion.
Yes, the schools appear to have sorted that one out because I understand some of the top schools over-enrolled for this grade 10, that we're having schools with over 20 streams in grade 10 alone, just to cover for the one class that is missing.
At the expense of the former county schools, at the expense of now the day schools. You get what I mean? So cumulatively, education is becoming more expensive. Yeah, cumulatively. And more diluted, because when they bring the streams, as they say, then teacher-learner ratio, you guess what would happen. So that contact will not be there. Then the reason you are saying there is a tendency of having the gap between the private school and public schools enlarging. And you know what? Ideally, the public schools should be doing better than private schools, because in public schools, this is where we have more experienced teachers.
So, but Mark, this is a very resource-intensive curriculum. You've had the experience firsthand. Do you think we are paying attention to the resources at all? Now, fine, we've talked about the human resource, but the infrastructure. Do you see an attempt to actually correct that from a public institution perspective? Private schools are doing well. Private institutions are doing well. What about the public sector? Do you see any attempt? Do you feel like the way you started a year and a half or 2 years ago as an intern teacher, that things have improved in as far as infrastructure is concerned?
Yeah, there's a slight improvement, They have brought in some few classes, but you find still the population are still high. And so it's just a slight improvement. But concerning most of the infrastructure, we are still yet down. We are not up to the level required. We have some, when it comes to books, I can say they issue books. They bring very many books around the school. Yeah, but now you find that what they are doing with the syllabus, they are reducing the syllabus as we continue. So you'll find that there are some things which grade 10 now, who are pioneer, did in grade 7, did in grade 8, and did in grade 9, which won't be done by those now in grade 7.
Was that in response to the challenges in infrastructure?
Yes.
What do you think the problem was for them to reduce?
No, it wasn't more about infrastructure. They only found that they brought a lot of complex things which these students were never to understand them. And now they are trying to make it a bit easier for these for the learners. It's just a thing of it was not properly digested. And now they are learning slowly that this thing now should be this way. And you find that now, actually there's a thing we call curriculum design. When you go to the curriculum design, it's just a document which shows what the learners should learn. And it is very specific. So when you go to the book is very wide. You can find in the book, most of the things in the book don't require to be passed to the students, but it is in the books. So you find that the books are not very specific. Only that now we use the curriculum design.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I understand that some of you are parents at different levels. There's a lot of confusion even from parents because they don't understand what these learners should be doing at the CBE level. Now they're getting a lot of pressure from their students, from their children, especially those in public schools, that we are not so sure we're doing the right thing. What should a parent do in such a situation? Are you getting these complaints? Are you experiencing it as a parent that even the learners, especially grade 10, are even more concerned about what exactly they're doing in school?
I can just say that at the beginning of anything, there must always be challenges. You know, grade 10 is a new phenomenon in a senior school. Just like there was confusion when we were having grade 7, we expect confusion in the grade 10. Like now when most learners were being admitted to these schools, they couldn't, some of them were not even aware on what pathway they want to choose. Again, the structure, these senior schools have not been given an opportunity to have all of the pathways. There are some which lack the resources. So like sub-county schools do not have resources maybe for STEM, okay, or for sports. So you find that most schools have picked 2 pathways, and therefore this one takes a crowding effect to schools which are established, because schools which are established are offering the 3 pathways. So it means students who want to pursue sports and the other issues cannot be able to be placed in the lower card of schools. So those are structural still challenges that we must look at. How do we bring on board sub-county and county schools to have all of the pathways at place, instead of saying that this school being a county and a sub-county school cannot be able to offer sports because of facilities related to sports? How do we get out of this so that we decongest the senior schools which are well equipped? For example, in Nairobi we have few schools which are well equipped in terms of 3 pathways, and these are either extra county schools and national schools. So the fewer lower schools are now, you see, straining because there's one pathway that is fully missing in terms of admission. Okay. So that's one aspect that we're looking at. Another challenge about, you have raised an issue with parents being confused. I think the aspect that was coming out from the parent side was that they are too much involved in looking at what the kids are doing in school. They are given assignment, they come at home and do the assignment with them. For me, that is a good aspect. I sit with my kids and try to know what they are doing in school. And like the other system where you could only check what your kid is doing at the end of the term. So this one is more engaging, and you could be able to track what your child is doing in school. For me, the aspect about maybe we can only talk about this issue of assignments did not factor in parents who are illiterate, because we have
quite a number.
A good number of parents who have not gone to school. How do we then handle the assignment with these parents when the children leave school and come home? So there are a lot of teething challenges here and there, but I think those are the gaps we are identifying. People are out doing research, and as research is being done on the implementation process, then recommendations will be made. And if we adopt these recommendations that are coming out from researchers, as time goes by, we shall be able to make it better than what it is today.
And because we've been mentioning politics a lot, there were some very political statements a few months back about who owns schools, who develops schools, which students or learners should go to which school, who in your area hasn't built any school. Do you find any validity in such debates? Now that politicians really want to get involved, do you find validity in actually burdening the same politicians to develop schools in different parts of this country?
I think that if the ministries were more empowered, they'd do a greater job, get audited better than auditing a politician. Because then, you know, politicians would go for where there are numbers. So you'll find their schools with more classrooms, extra classrooms actually. When there is another one, because they have very few people around or voters around, they are struggling. That would happen to many other issues when it comes to resources allocation. I think that even the CDF that has been a thorn in the flesh, if policy was to be left to take its space, I think that all the CDF money should be taken into the ministry, and the ministry then be held accountable for anything that is not happening right in our schools. Because when you leave serious issues to what I would call legacy and to legacy politicians and conventional politicians, that's how we bring into education unethical things, like issuing of letters and barriers and public barazas and rallies, political rallies.
What about at the policy level? Because they create these policies. There are some who even argue that for better structural management of schools and institutions, that probably even education should be among the devolved services. One of those proponents was the late Raila Odinga, the former Prime Minister, that leaving everything at the center, then it creates a lot of inequality between national level schools and those at the county level. Yeah,
when I say money be given to the ministry, it means that ministry should devolve that money back to the sub-counties. And it is to mean, you know, like we have politicians handling money, they have very little space for oversight.
Okay.
Because ordinarily you cannot oversight when you are an implementer yourself. But if this money was to be taken to the sub-county levels through the Ministry of Education, an MP could sit and ask, where has this money been taken and what has been done? That's entirely oversight work.
Okay.
It becomes an issue. That's why you see even duplication coming in between the governor's functions and the MP's functions. There's no MP today who would stand anywhere and say the governor is not performing. Because the next minute, the governor will stand and ask him, where is your CDF money? So it's all about duplication.
Do you think that that is part of the problem, the fact that education is managed at different levels, yet we already have a structure, devolved structure, that could help ensure equitable distribution of proper schools?
I'll give you a good example in Muli. You remember when the late Professor Magoha, may he rest in eternal peace, when he was a minister, the cabinet secretary, and they had to build very many classrooms within a very short time. How did that happen? They never gave money to MPs. They gave money to sub-counties. And there were checks and balances. There was how do we use this money? And because the ministry was there with the ministry officials on oversight, the politicians were also invited to see what was happening. That process was way efficient than the current process where you find one school has been overburdened by projects because it has 1,000 voters, and another one is struggling. You know, the one with 1,000 voters even got a bus from CDF. The one that doesn't have many voters is struggling with the classrooms. That's where they now end up to stage a simple classroom to become a staff room, and a tree to become a laboratory.
Yes. Well, this disparity between urban schools and even the rural schools, do you think that in a way politics, and I'm not just talking about MPs, I'm talking about even the devolved structure where governors, county executives are involved, possibly. Do you think that that would in a way help resolve these challenges if at all they were to be sorted at that level?
Okay. In a way, you know, devolving education is also a challenge, because you'll find that it is a very, very big department with very many human capital, for example, and now taking them to the governors can be a challenge. But when I come to, for example, now what they are saying is politics is the main problem, because if this money is given, whatever you say, to the sub-county, let the money come direct to schools. It will be equitably distributed. Because when you look at the structures in a national school and the structures in that sub-county school, which serves majority of the people around, they are different. Because you'll find that whatever they are saying, that most of the funds will be taken to those schools with the majority. And you know, we need to distribute these funds in relevance to also the requirement. This school doesn't have even classes. Then you are buying a bus for another school. This school doesn't have the basic for learning, basic resources for learning, like school, that is like classrooms, labs. Then you are even carpeting a court somewhere, a basketball court somewhere. That's where we have now a problem, whereby you'll find, and that is why you see, the more imbalance comes in, then the more the gap between these schools become huge. Parents will be eager to take their children to schools that have the facilities. And you find that they are the national schools, they are schools that are higher in the hierarchy. But the ones which are below, they won't get even learners as compared to the big schools.
Now, it all boils down to funding. That money may be there, 700 billion shillings from the national budget. It's all about how much capitation gets to school, despite 22,000 being declared at the national level. It rarely gets there. A lot of this money may just be going through some cracks in the system. Do you feel that we'll ever get to a point where we can address the funding in schools to ensure equitable distribution of these resources?
Politics and development are like Siamese twins. It's the politician who allocates money through the budgeting process. Unless we link completely, do a link between budgeting and the politicians, then we shall be just oscillating around the same thing. Because you see, if now you separate resources from a politician, you render that politician irrelevant. Like now when we're discussing about bursaries, why should we have bursaries at almost every level of education? Okay? If we collapse all these bursaries, it comes to a tune of 100 billion. This 100 billion can be given to the Minister of Education, and then education becomes free, completely free. But because you see, our budgeting process is done by the politicians themselves. So the executive most of the time is held hostage. That you see, if you bring this bill in parliament concerning this, you have to give us this and this. And that's why we are losing it. We had a very candid discussion about, for example, the issue of bursaries. How do we navigate through this so that we don't have an MCA, a governor, an MP giving a CDF bursary and all that? If all this money is pumped back to the Minister of Education, everything will run smoothly in a very smooth and efficient way. And therefore, the issue of accountability again will come in a very structured manner. But you see, for politicians, and this is where we lose it all the time, that we have allowed them to, we have given much attention to the politicians, and we have allowed them to throw the shots wherever, so that when they are coming even to issue bursaries, we are praising them that I nilipatiwa bursary. I was given a bursary. Yet this is your money that you are taxed.
Right. We want to go back to my colleague Brenda. She was trying to talk to parents just to gauge whatever the challenges they're going through this back to school week, where we do anticipate it's going to be one of the longest, 14 weeks this term. Brenda, once again, good morning. Tell us what the parents are saying.
A very good morning to you, mtazamaji, Fred Indimuli and Ann Odida. We are coming to you live from the Muthaiga Square, where motorists tell me that this heavy traffic is an indication that the back to school is already in full swing. It is a mixture of excitement for learners, but for parents, they tell me it is a rush against time and money. With me here is a parent tumepatana na yeye akipeleka mtoto wake shule, and we'll be talking to him to understand just how the Kenyan parent has prepared for the second term. Habari yako mzazi?
Good sana.
Good morning.
Morning too.
You are live on TV47. Naweza taka utuambie umerauka hii mapema yote kwa nini?
Nimerauka hii mapema yote kwa kupeleka hii watoto kwa shule, na mimi niende nitafute siku pale na Sinda, pale Usinda.
Okay. Na hao watoto wako grade gani na gani?
Hao watoto wangu wawili wako PP2 na warafiki yangu wako PP2. Sasa mimi nakaa mlango kubwa, nakuja nao hivi, mimi nafanya kazi Thika Road. Niwaze Muthaiga Primary. Niwaze Muthaiga Primary. Wakishaingia mimi nikuja kwa barabara nichukue matatu niende pale mimi huwa naenda.
Na ushalipa school fees ya this term?
School fees ya this term sitalipa, hata kuna base balance ya last term ya wanasema daycare. Shilingi 2,000 sitalipa kwa sababu kila mtoto ni 100. 1,000. Sasa tukiongeza tena mwezi 1,000 inatakana 4,000. Sasa ile inataka 4,000 ukiongeza 3,000 hiyo inakuja shilingi 1,000. Sasa hiyo inataiwa hii term.
Kwa hivyo ni the cost of living ndio imeenda juu, ama kwa nini haujaweza kulipa school fees?
Living tena nilikuwa na problem nyumbani ya magonjwa, kabidi niende nyumbani, ndio mambo ikanilemea namna hiyo.
Na vitabu je, mshanunua vitabu?
Vitabu sijanunua, hata nimeona kwa bagi ya rafiki yangu hakuna kitabu. Sisi tunapeleka tu.
Kwa hivyo nyinyi wote mpaka mtoto wa rafiki yako hana vitabu?
Na mimi sikai na rafiki yangu. Ni kupitia kwake napitianga asubuhi tu, nikimwambia mtoto wako tayari, chukua mtoto enda. Mimi naangalia kwa bagi yake naona kuna vitabu. Hata bagi ya mtoto yangu ndio haina kitabu.
Kwa nini mnajipata as parents mna prioritize vitu zingine kama rent, kama chakula isipokuwa education?
Maisha inakuwa juu.
Unaweza taka serikali ifanye nini na this term?
Serikali irudie tu masomo ile ilikuwa ya bure. Irudie tu masomo ile ya bure. Tujue tu ni kununua uniform hata na kitabu peke yake. Maneno sasa unaona kama sasa inasukuma daycare shilingi 1,000. Niko na watoto wawili, hiyo ni shilingi 2,000 kila mwezi. Utalipa nyumba, utalipa daycare, utalipa school fees, unaona maisha inakusukuma sana. Inakuwa ngumu sana.
Na wewe unafanya kazi gani?
Mimi nafanya kazi ya kaos, naosha magari.
Na pengine jana na leo umesikia the back to school rush, wazazi wameanza kimbi za kurudisha watoto shule?
Nimesikia kutoka wiki yote ikianza nimesikia, lakini sikuwa na kazi, ilikuwa chini.
Na wote wanalia the same thing, wote wanalia school fees imekuwa mingi?
Wote wanalia. Sasa hata tajiri anasema si unaona kazi ingi, na kweli uweze hata kushika tajiri na unaona kuna kazi.
Asante sana, na watoto wasome vizuri, na hiyo school fees itapatikana ama namna gani?
Itapatikana, nashukuru.
That's a traffic situation at the Muthaiga interchange as parents and learners engage in back-to-school activity. And this is what kind of experience you'll get if at all you're on Thika Road, trying to get to town, to the CBD, probably to catch a matatu or a bus to upcountry or to other places where your learner is heading to school. Definitely a challenge. This has not been the situation over the past 1 month as schools were on a break, but this would appear for the rest of this week at least, this will be the situation. Those are live pictures from the Muthaiga interchange at Pangani. Yes, and that heavy traffic is actually what most people within the CBD are experiencing. I can see most major roads, Jogo Road, Outer Ring Road, Eastern Bypass, even now Wayaki Way is getting busy. So most roads are busy this morning. But mostly because of back-to-school activity. We do have some feedback from our viewers. We could sample some right now before I give my guests an opportunity to give their final comments on the state of education. What are our viewers saying? Right, I'm informed that I might have to go look for it elsewhere for now. So probably as I look for that feedback, let's get your final comments on this. As an education expert, what is the way forward? Second term, 2026, very busy elsewhere. A busy term, 14 weeks long, but you're starting with problems.
Yeah, the way forward should be empowering the Ministry of Education more, listening to stakeholders, and giving the right capitation in the right time. We need to avoid over-politicization of education system. We need to have a situation whereby we are not seeing elected members or parliament or governors dishing out employment letters, because this then cues into motivation of the teachers and anybody who cares about working systems in a country. We need to have a conversation, a serious conversation between or amongst the stakeholders, teachers included, parents included, and the real stakeholders in the Ministry of Education. But we also need to shift to the discussion of money allocation from politicians. And when I mean politicians, I mean from MCAs, members of parliament, and senators. Any discussion about MCAs getting funding, any discussion about member of parliament controlling a kitty is unconstitutional and will at no time lead us to anywhere where you can have an education system thrive better. So I think that we need to have a president also who listens and who is tamed, so that he doesn't make pronouncements on the road, on the other side, about policies, when ideally we should be hearing anything policy from the director level to the permanent secretary or the principal secretary, and the list by the cabinet secretary. We need to have that balance. Otherwise, as I said in the beginning, that in any working economy, education is the last line of defense. And someone said, if we want to crumble a country, we don't need to bomb it. We only need to strangle its education system. So I think that's what we need as a country. I also want to encourage teachers that it might not be enough, whatever they get, but it might be enough, the motivation that comes with the best thing they did at their time when they were teachers.
Okay.
And especially learners that are not doing very well, that's where the teachers are supposed to get the biggest motivation. Those that are not doing very well.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. Before I engage you, Mark, for your final comments, just a quick look at what people are saying, because I can see some intern teachers are contributing. Kipngetich Kemoi says, we as interns are sad and disgusted. We demand our rights and good working conditions. He goes on to say, no, someone else, Mary Gabriel says, well put, Bwana Katibu. I think it's directed at Isaac. Let interns be confirmed. Good job. James Nyangoya says, State House budget of 17 billion. Confirming if interns, which needs like 3 billion kupata ni shida, alafu unapata wengine wakiimba maswala ya siasa. Kuna mmoja anasema Mboni Makueni tunafuatilia, mwingine Philemon Magati anasema fire see fire. Fire see fire even in the education sector. Back, final comments.
Final comments. Huyo mwenye amesema fire see fire, sisi tunasema tumejaa ngori.
Mbaya, ni mbaya.
Ni mbaya. And we are saying that we want to do our best, but for us to do our best, let us be confirmed. Let us enjoy whatever the PNPs are enjoying. In these 2 years we have been serving as interns, if it was we were PNPs, we would be now getting promoted.
Yes.
Yes. So we are saying that, and we want to make it clear to the government. I want to tell even the junior school teachers in all over the country who are watching, let's fight this battle together, because you know what we want. We are not going back to classes until the government issues letters to us so that once we go to the schools, we are in the correct state of mind. And it is very clear, let the government not hide that things are okay. Those schools, things are not okay. You might see even some teachers, interns in school, but they will be just doing nothing. We are downing tools until the government listens to us. It is very clear, and we started yesterday. Yesterday we were on the streets, we sang on the streets, we were very peaceful. But we are saying our demonstration will take on every week until the government hears whatever we want, confirmation.
Right, thank you. Finally, Bwana Isaac.
As a trade unionist, I want to say around 3 issues before we conclude on this. On February 27th of February, the courts declared internship illegal. TSC is coming out to threaten the intern teachers to terminate their contracts. Let them terminate their contracts. And we want to see whether they'll be able to recruit new interns once they terminate the contracts of this. How are they going to recruit new interns when the exercise has been declared illegal? So TSC is at the dead end. You cannot recruit new interns, you cannot terminate the ones who have been told keep off the schools. A court order has given interns a leeway to keep off the schools. You are being engaged in an illegal exercise. So let us have a policy coalition framework. Henceforth, can TSC come down and say, this is what we want to do? Call the ministry and all the other people and sit and discuss. Because there's nothing they are going to do as far as the legal jargon is concerned. They cannot employ new interns, they cannot sack these ones whom they are engaging in an illegal activity. Henceforth, to bring all these things to maybe understanding each other and all that, is these issues have been there. They're not just an emergency, like the issue of internship. It has been there. The ruling actually was done like 2 months ago. It is not in order until we unions come out, start pushing government to see what they are supposed to do.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's my parting shot, and then maybe as I finish this discussion today, is that we're in support of intern teachers, and we are not going to relent on that because it is their right. 17,000 in Nairobi, it's a no.
Right. Intern teachers, JSS intern teachers have downed their tools. We have one of them here, Mark Wambua. And this is just some of the challenges that are impacting schools countrywide as they go back, return for the second term, which is the longest term of the academic year, 14 months in total. Well, we'll continue discussing this because this week it's back to school. Thank you so much, James. Isaac Masenge, who's Executive Secretary, KUPPET, Mark Wambua, a JSS teacher, and James Nyaga, education expert. Thank you so much for your time at TV47. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a state of education in Kenya today. On this week, that students and learners across the country go back for term 2. My name is Fred Ndimuli. More coming up on TV47 Breakfast after the break. Good morning.